What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John.
Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid.
M. The whole world is your urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Hi there, and welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm M.
And this is listener request month?
Kinda.
Kinda?
They sent in the request in March.
Yeah, they got them in. We just didn't record them. This comes from, I'll call her Lisa, but it's my mom. This is The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Look, you gotta be professional about it. Be like,
Lisa Weaver.
This comes from our longtime listener, Lisa.
Long-time listener. She didn't give us a reason. She just really likes the movie. That's what she told me. So, boy, I should be more prepared.
Well, this is one of your favorites too, right?
Yeah, this was on my top 10 list when we did that 200 episodes ago. Which, yeah, it's probably still there.
When a younger girl called Emily Rose dies, everyone puts blame on the exorcism, which was performed on her by Father Moore prior to her death. The priest is arrested on suspicion of murder. The trial begins with lawyer Aaron Brunner representing Moore, but it is not going to be easy as no one wants to believe what Father Moore says is true.
So yeah, this is like a courtroom movie more than a horror movie, I think.
Yeah, it was very much like half courtroom drama, half horror.
Mm-hmm.
It was different than I was expecting. I didn't know it was going to be like that.
And even the horror elements are sometimes questioned by the movie.
Right, yeah, because you don't really know,
horror?
Is she possessed or is it just a psychological thing?
Right. And this is based on a true thing that happened that you had pulled up, and that's why I pointed it at you.
Oh, right.
Annalise Michelle? Or...
Yeah. Annalise Michael, maybe? I'm not sure. She was actually German. So it's based on the story of her death, but from reading through this, it's extremely loosely based on.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
extremely loosely.
That's what these kind of movies tend to be when they say they're based on a true story. It can be like hardly anything sometimes. It can be just like a couple little things that inspired it, and it's based on a true story.
I'm kind of surprised they can even say it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
There was a court case where the priest did go to court. So that's kind of it.
And I mean, there were definite similarities, but... I guess they should maybe say inspired by a true story, because it's not based on it, but maybe inspired by.
What the upsetting thing to me about this movie is that I can't, when I tell people how good this is, there's like 20 Exorcism of movies out there. This is not the same as those, at all. This is, I think, a level above. I'm just gonna I'm gonna gloat for the movie here, I guess. I really enjoyed it. I saw this in theaters. There was a part that legit scared me that you laughed at me when I told you it scared me.
Yeah, I started laughing.
Yeah, in theaters, that's okay. Food!
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In theaters, I was like, holy shit, what am I looking at? It was so weird the way that she was bent.
And she's just not blinking and her mouth's open.
But you are right, you could easily just get on the floor and be like, So... The movie starts with, I guess it's the morning after she died, and the coroner goes there. And one of the things that I like about this movie is it feels like fall. It feels like fall. The leaves.
I like that.
It feels like it's cold. They do a good job of portraying that it's taking place in October because you actually feel it. The medical examiner comes to check out Emily and is kind of freaked out. I guess.
Right. I really liked the opening of it, actually. It was creepy. I liked the vibe of, the weather that day and the house there all by itself. It was kind of atmospheric in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was creepy.
Oh. I know you didn't really like this.
And, I mean, I definitely thought at first that he was probably the priest, but then it turns out he's the medical guy.
Yeah. Tom Wilkinson. I freaking love this guy. Let me think. He's in one of the Batmans, and then he's in Michael Clayton, where he plays this crazy eccentric guy trying to expose bad companies. So yeah, he's awesome. This movie has some good actors and actresses in it.
Laura
Yeah,
Linney's
Jennifer
amazing.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
Like, I know her from Dexter, of course.
That's
Did
all
either of
I've
you
seen,
watch Dexter?
No, I didn't watch it.
It came back this year after like a decade,
Yeah, I heard
which
that.
it was so good. I was so glad that it came back, and the first 8 of 10 episodes were like fantastic, and then I think they kind of ruined it again.
I heard people didn't like the finale.
Yeah, I was disappointed in the finale, but I mean, I'm still glad they brought it back because it was a fantastic season other than the ending.
Laura Linney.
She did a really
I
good
love
job.
Laura Linney.
She's a good actress.
Do you, just your opinion, do you feel like they were just getting a paycheck, in your opinion? Or do you think they
No.
really liked the project?
No, do you want to know like how I felt about the whole movie? Or
I
what?
want you to interject and be like, bullshit.
So far, I agree with everything you've said.
Oh, okay.
Well, not everything you've said.
Oh, okay. Alright, so the cop takes Father Moore away after they figure out that this woman's dead. And they're going to charge him with negligent homicide. And they have a real brief scene where these, like, big shots are sitting around talking about how they're going after this guy. And they need to get a religious lawyer to go after him. Like
Right.
a religious
Preferably
prosecutor.
Catholic, right?
Mm-hmm. They can't get a Catholic, but they get... What is it, a Protestant, I think they said he is? But they said he lives in
pretty
church.
much
And
all there is,
yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. And then they get Laura Linney's character, Aaron, because she just let a murderer get free. What was his
Right.
name?
Hopper?
James Van Hopper. Yeah. Like, he clearly, from what you gather, he clearly killed these people. And she got him out of there somehow.
Right, and she was being praised for it.
Mm-hmm. She seems like she actually believes in the system. But she's also, like, just a regular lawyer at the beginning of this movie. She's still kind of a dick. And it kind of, like, this case kind of takes her, what do you call that, an arc.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has an arc.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a first on this show. We never have arcs.
I don't think she's a dick. I think she's keeping up with her profession.
I agree.
Yeah.
But she's a lawyer, so she's a dick.
I one of the first things I wrote down is that she's straightforward.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, you know, when you're...
Yep.
Oh, is someone being sexist on this side of the table?
If she was a man, I wonder if he would have
Yes!
thought the same.
Lawyers are dicks. Just all
They are.
lawyers
Yeah,
dicks.
lawyers.
And they're it seems like they're just making deal after deal after deal. Like he's making a deal with her, and then she's making a deal with the priest, and then like everybody's making these deals. If you do this, I'll do that. If you do this, I'll do that. All
Wouldn't it
very-
be crazy being a lawyer, like having to defend people that you know are guilty?
Especially if they're like savage murderers or
yeah.
something.
I feel like I feel like lawyers that are defending people would say, "Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me whether you did it or not." You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to give you the best sense I can. But I feel like these days, it's more just working in like bar stuff than anything.
You don't want
Right.
to go to court. Yeah, you don't want to have an actual
just trying
trial.
to stay out of court. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is what they're looking for here. The Archdiocese wants him to just take a plea, get probation, I think, or like a couple months in prison or something, and then just get out of there. And he's not having it. So he thinks if he tells... Okay, so this is the only part where I'm like, I don't know. He thinks he's the only possible person that can tell this story, and he thinks that the only way to do it is to get up on the stand and tell people it. Like, you could go to prison for 6 months, get out and write a book. You don't need to do all this.
Very true.
No, I think he was like, well, I think priests are kind of egotistical in the first place
Right.
because they think they can serve God or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
But he was like, I'm the only one who can tell this story. When really
Yeah.
she's the only one who could tell this story.
Yeah.
And at the same time, thinking that what he did was so important, I guess, that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just rubbed me the wrong way. I really did not like the whole way through.
And I mean, her family would have been able to tell her story just as good as he
Yeah.
could have.
Right.
Yeah, just the fact that he's, you know, a big-time religious kind of makes me go, ugh. But at the same time, I think he thought what he was doing was for the better.
Right.
Like, it wasn't necessarily, but he believed it was.
Right.
So, but, you know, so did Hitler. Yeah.
True.
Well, and actually, then the real story, it was the parents. The parents were going to the priest or whatever and asking them to do exorcisms, and they
Yeah.
were saying no
Mhm.
at first.
And they did like 60 or so exorcisms
Yes.
on that girl.
I think it was like 67 or
Yeah.
Holy shit.
something over the course of like a year.
hmm In this, they do one, and then she won't accept another one, so they don't do any more.
And they think it was that she was Gambitrol. Is that the drug she was taking?
Yeah. Not sure if that's a real drug, but
yeah, I was wondering that. I didn't look it up to see. I felt like it might be a made up.
Oh, we have the internet.
Let's look it up, shall we?
What a great time to be alive.
But they thought that wouldn't let the exorcism affect her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't really.
Yeah.
Like, if a medication stopped a
Okay.
like if medication thing.
It was like it wouldn't be a shock to her as much because she'd be like clouded by.
I liked the way that woman that they brought up on the stand explained exorcisms in more of a scientific way than a spiritual way. Like, it's a thing in the brain that actually happens, and the exorcism isn't meant to do anything spiritually. It's meant to shock the system and get it to stop acting like that. But if Gambitrol is taken, it can't shock the system because it blocks whatever's...
Okay, so what exactly is supposed to shock the system? Like, what is the exorcism? What is the act of doing an exorcism?
I don't know.
Yeah, because to me it seems like it is a spiritual thing.
It's only
At least that's
spiritual.
how they think of it.
It's just words. You're just saying words and throwing water
Holy
at somebody.
water.
Yeah.
Holy water?
He did it once in this movie, and she sat up, and then that was the last time they did it. Because they did such a terrible job strapping her down. That's why they fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, watching this, I thought it was like every exorcist I've ever seen. Or exorcism I've ever seen, sorry.
That was my first one.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Like, but they all look like this. All of them. Even the original one. Except in that one, they had her so tied down, she just kind of like went up.
The Exorcist, you mean?
Yeah, she was floating, but she wasn't, up and out the window.
Right.
So
they tie them down in a bed, say like prayers and
a very specific chapter of the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then sprinkle holy water. And this is supposed to
somehow shock the system. I don't know what that means.
Get rid of demons and spirits. And
yeah.
That's another thing I've seen from exorcism movies. It never works. Never, ever, 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 ever. So I don't know why they keep trying.
Yeah, you would think they would realize eventually exorcisms don't work. Why bother? But maybe they think, well, this time maybe let's give it a try.
In the Exorcist, it's literally the priest being like, "Come into me," and the demon's like, "Okay," and leaves that way. You don't have to go through all the rigmarole. You just, "Hey, come on over." "All right, sure," and that's it.
And I mean, you would think if somebody is really possessed by a powerful demon, strapping them down isn't really going to help that much. Like, they'd be able to free themselves.
Yeah, if I were the demon, I'd be like, maybe that's what it is. They're like, I'm not staying in this body if I can't move around. Fuck this.
Maybe. I didn't think about that.
I don't know, man, but it doesn't work in this movie. It doesn't work in any movie.
At the beginning, the parents don't like all that dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Boys and dancing.
But I argue with that because we covered that in Footloose.
I hate Footloose.
It's perfectly fine. Dancing is good with God.
Oh. Maybe they hadn't seen it yet.
Footloose was like the dumbest movie.
I love dumb movies. I don't necessarily love Footloose. I like
That's the Kevin Bacon dancing one.
Kevin Bacon's a good dancer.
Okay.
He's not a good dancer. He's like a what is the word? It's just crazy dancing. It's like this like over the top
Enthusiastic dancing.
Yeah, he's an enthusiastic dancer.
Well, the prosecution is basically just like, this guy he neglected her. He doesn't care about her. He should have given her medical treatment. And as the trial goes on, they start to come up with all kinds of explanations. She was psychotic. She was schizophrenic. She had epilepsy. Just all of it. And at one point they put them together to say that she had all of them.
Right.
And
what are the chances of having all of those? I mean, it could happen.
Right. Where I know that the movie is not based in reality, but in the movie's reality, I was like, if this woman has all these things, how is she jumping out a window and running to a barn? Like, that's where I'm like, I'm leaning towards something else. But I don't believe in demons that would attack a person.
Right,
so it's really hard for me to get on board with that.
I find demon stuff really creepy, even though I don't necessarily believe in it.
Right.
Like, it's hard to say. Like, I don't believe or disbelieve in really anything because I feel like it's impossible to know. But...
And the problem is, if it happens to you, if you see a demon or a demon gets in you, you're fucked because no one is going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Like... Yeah, I'm possessed. Yeah, bullshit. Fuck you. And they throw you in a mental asylum.
Right, yeah.
which is what I was discussing with you about. What if people who have mental disorders and can see things or hear things are just disconnected from the reality that we're used to?
Yes, I've thought of that.
Yeah, and they're seeing something that is there that we can't see.
Right, yeah.
That would suck so bad, because no one's they're gonna be like, oh, you have a brain tumor. What? No.
Right. Have you ever heard, it's like some sort of like parable about this like king and queen that had like water that had been infected with something that made them kind of go crazy, and the whole town was like, oh no, like the king and queen gone crazy, and then it spread to everyone else and they all went crazy, and then they like celebrated because the king and queen had regained their sanity because they went crazy and they were in like the same reality. So it's like, how do we know, you know? Mm-hmm. It's maybe just different realities, like, that people are seeing, like, different aspects of our reality. Because, like, how much do we really see of reality? I feel like we're really limited in...
We don't know shit.
Yeah.
We don't know anything, so...
Like, all of this could be fake. Maybe we're just dreaming right now, or maybe this is a hallucination. You don't know. Nobody knows anything, right?
I'm waiting. Shoot us down.
No. The thing is, okay, as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this bullshit. You know what I mean? Like every time something happened, I was like, take her to a hospital. You know what I mean? Like she just, whatever happened up in the room or whatever, I can't remember. And like right after the exorcism, the whole thing in the barn and all that stuff. And they were like, okay, she's gonna go to bed now. And I'm like, no, take her to a hospital. Take her to a fucking hospital. It really bothers me because, you know, that's the kind of thing that happens. Where was that? Michigan, when they had a sick kid with pneumonia and everybody stood around and prayed instead of taking her to a hospital.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that really bothers me. That really bothers me. At the same time, I do think that we don't know everything. I certainly don't know everything. I don't know everything that's out there. I believe psychics a little bit. I feel like there is an extra sensitive kind of thing that can go on with other forces and things we don't know about. But for whatever reason, with this movie, this is like where I draw the line. Like, somebody is obviously in need of medical / psychiatric treatment, possibly much more than they want to admit, and needs help.
But before they started all the exorcism stuff, she had been getting treatment. She had been taking medication, and she had gotten psychiatric treatment, and it wasn't making a difference.
She did not get the electroshock therapy
Right,
that one guy
get
wanted
that.
to try, and Laura Linney tried to catch him looking like a bad person for wanting to do it, but he's like, look, that might have helped. Like, of course I would have done that if it would have helped. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of
it
like...
would have been against her will and against her family's will. Mm-hmm.
Force-fed her and shocked her, yeah. But it might have made her better.
It might have.
So, I mean, if you're willing to try spirituality, you might as well be willing to try something else, too. Like, you can try both. I think they just gave up too quickly. When the Gambutrol didn't do the job immediately, they were like, okay, exorcism. Like, boom.
Well, and things like that, there's different medications that affect people differently.
Right.
That, like, even if you're just talking about depression or anxiety or something like that, like, how many different kinds of medication are there and have this side effect or that side effect and affect this person one way and that person another way? Like, you're dealing with, like, very extreme medical conditions here that could have taken, like, months to years to try and figure out exactly what might work for her or what maybe was going on. But I feel like this family was so crazy religious that they didn't even want to get into that, which I think was a disservice too.
To be fair, though, it was also her making that choice. It was her making the choice and her family making the choice. So it's kind of like, if she doesn't want it and her family doesn't want it, you know what? If she wants to die, fine, do a little magic while you're there. But she wants to die. She's going to let herself die.
I get that.
So,
but so we saw Emily Rose through flashbacks and whatnot. So, at what point in this movie do you think she was of sound mind to be making medical decisions for herself?
They said she was lucid when she wasn't having those episodes.
Yeah, she was completely herself.
She was herself and lucid.
But
like, there was a distinct difference.
Did she know what was going on when she wasn't lucid? Did she have memories of it? You know what I mean?
I
don't know.
yes.
Maybe, yeah.
And they even said, like, crazy people don't know they're crazy, and she knew when things were happening to her, so I don't know.
She was aware there were other entities in her, and she knew when they were taking over and when they weren't. So, This
And
is
then-
tough. This is talking about this is like being in the jury. Honestly,
Yeah.
this must have been like what it was like to, because this does not try to give a clear answer. It shows scenes where she sees demons, and then it comes back and shows the same scene with no demon, like saying, "Oh well, here's the medical thing that might have been going on with her." So it's up to you to decide, which is like why I love this fucking movie.
Yeah, and nothing that really happens to her proves that she does have a demon. I mean, it's not like in The Exorcist, like her head's not going the whole way around or anything crazy like that. Like, any of this stuff could just be psychological or it could be spiritual. You just don't know.
I guess I didn't like the extra little things they did to make it seem more spiritual.
Mhm.
Like the watch stopping at 3 o'clock. They were kind of like, oh, Laura Linney's not religious. So
That's true.
we're gonna make her doubt, which makes you doubt, which turns the priest into a hero, which I don't like. You know what I mean?
But then, I mean, it makes you think of things from that perspective. If you're a very doubting person, like I would be, like it makes you like, oh, well, maybe it really is real. Like, you don't know. It
made
makes
me
you
wanna-
like entertain that possibility.
Yeah,
anyway.
it made me want to side with the priest, who I agree with you, I didn't really like. But I thought, he thinks this is real, she thinks this is real. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, just listen to somebody. Like, you do what you think is the right thing
Right,
to do.
yeah. Like, I don't think that he would deserve to be, like, thrown in jail forever because he really believed he was doing the right thing.
Right. And in the movie, his family is there, too. Like, yeah, we wanted him to do this. They're not like,
Yeah.
he caused this.
Right.
Like, so I've never understood. Like, that's the part I don't get, is like the people were like, this person's dead, we have to throw somebody in jail. Why?
Mhm.
Why? Like,
Right. Like, if the family doesn't want to press charges or anything, why
right,
are
let
they
it
doing
go,
this?
man. Like, that's why I didn't really like Ethan Thomas, even though he is doing the right thing. I don't like him.
Yeah.
Wait, who's Ethan Thomas?
He's
The
the
lawyer?
prosecutor.
Oh, Campbell Scott
Yeah.
from Single.
Yes.
I didn't see that.
It's really set in Seattle during the grunge era.
Ah, I'll have to watch it.
So I know that when the boyfriend said that.
Oh my god, he
Yeah,
would have been
see, I was
long
just
gone.
about to say this.
He would have been gone after the first
Uh-huh.
episode. A 19-year-old college kid, are you kidding me? He'd be like, this was fun, but I'm out.
Yeah.
Instead, they
Right.
make him like completely change his worldviews over this.
Yeah.
So if I saw it, I don't know that I would leave because I'm not afraid of demons. So even if I saw somebody doing it, I'd be like, and then if it turned out it was a demon, I'd still be like.
Did they say how long they had been together? Was it a really long-term relationship? Because I could see if they had been together a long time and he didn't want to abandon her once she...
They said it was
No.
short.
No,
Yeah.
I think they had just maybe gone out once and they went to the
Yeah,
dance.
that's-
Yeah.
That her
like
mom,
how-
she didn't want to tell her mom about
Yeah.
the dance or whatever. And I think that was it. I think it was
Yeah,
just like a
that's
couple
really
days.
unrealistic.
It's because
Right.
he saw her running to the church and was like, "What's she doing?" And went in, and she was bent over and collapsed and was like, "Please don't leave." So then
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh, I
maybe
guess-
he's just a good guy.
Well, first
Yeah.
she was like, "Don't touch me!"
Yeah.
Which, come on, let's be honest. Would you have stayed?
True. She says that and then immediately goes, "Don't leave." And be like,
Is this a trap?
what do you want?
What's with these women? They never say what they want.
Alright, so there's some mysticism in this movie too, a little bit, because the lawyer, Erin, tells a story where she's walking and finds a necklace or a locket with her initials
Yeah.
initials on it. Like,
Did she keep it?
not
Because
just
she had the same initials.
yeah, not just like the first two, but her middle name too. So yeah, but
I
then
call bullshit.
yeah, see, then it gets into like you said, trying to force the viewer to really believe that there's a demon by
Yeah.
doing the 3 o'clock stuff. Like,
Well, it's not a very scary movie if it's all just psychological.
bingo. You have to throw in horror elements. This was what, 2006,
2003?
3,
Or, wait, 2000? I don't know. Somewhere
somewhere in there. It's all the same for about
Yeah.
5 years. So all the movies were doing this. This one is different because of the actor's skills and the story. But for the scary parts, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Little, the black.
It's 2005. Not that it matters.
Like when the eyes are bleeding black.
Yeah.
And the computer animated screen faces and the weird bending and it's all the same. It's all exactly the same. But I did like how they tied in stuff like burning, the smell of burning, and sometimes they wouldn't say it. They just show like a smoke alarm, and you'd be like, oh, okay. So this director, by the way, he did Sinister, which I fucking love.
I like Sinister.
It's
a good movie.
So good. It's got Ethan Hawke, and it's good, but
Did you ever do that one for the podcast?
No, I'd like to, but...
It's a good movie.
Let's put it on the list then, shall we?
Lambert didn't want to do it because the ending sucks, and it kind of does. They're like, you're Pigul, the creepy demon monster. What? Fuck you.
It's another demon movie?
It isn't for a while, and then they're like, well, we gotta have something, so demon, I guess.
And you love this movie?
I do.
It's a good movie. I personally like it better than this one, but I'm not as enthusiastic about this one as you are. But I
do
like
love
it.
this one.
But when I was watching it, I was like sitting in bed with my covers on, and then I'm like watching her getting possessed, them taking her covers off while she's in bed.
Oh.
Good thing I don't get too scared watching movies. Because I always watch all these by myself in my room in the middle of the night.
Oh, I can't do that. I have to watch them during the day.
I think the vibe's better at night for horror movies. Like, I'd rather have it scare me, if possible.
I still can't watch Paranormal Activity at night.
Yeah.
I can't watch that one at night. Because any noise in the house, I'm like, ah!
Right, yeah.
Which one was the
and
one
it feels so real.
I also have to remind myself that when I get scared of things like demons, I'm like, what does a demon want with a 36-year-old schlub? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Let's turn you into a believer.
Whoopity-doo! First they're going to go through my cabinets, move my chairs around, and be like, oh yeah, you like that? I'm a demon. I moved your shit.
Turn the lights on and off.
Yeah, waste my water, turn the sink on in the middle of the night, be like, I'm the ultimate evil. Water prices are high this month.
I had a friend that was like, her family was quite religious, and she thought that when you watch movies like this, it's opening you up to these things. But she would still watch them with me sometimes, but she was a little iffy about it. Like, she was like, I don't know.
Really?
Like, yeah.
I had a friend who, his mom was so religious that he had all these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. Then he watched the movie, and his mom saw when they were talking to, I'm saying nonsense to you too, but they're talking to Splinter, and they use meditation to bring his spirit out of the fire so he can talk to him. And she's like, they're contacting the dead! Get rid of all your toys! And guess who got him? Yeah!
Well, that works out for you.
Yes, it did.
Well, there's all the Christian right-wing, like, I see them on Instagram, there's a Christian Nightmares page that I follow, and they're saying, like, yoga is evil, and, like, meditation, anything like that is evil now.
That's ridiculous.
Because if you can get in touch with your inner self without talking to Jesus first, that's bad, I guess.
See, that's just it. Like, I feel like this now this is going to be a little...
It's fine, it's fine.
I feel like these extreme beliefs are actually abusive to kids.
Yes.
And
yeah,
this could be the result of her actually being abused all
Indoctrinated,
of her life.
yeah.
Indoctrinated and abused. Like, actually, the real Annalise or whatever said that, like, she never really had any friends. In college, she was quiet and withdrawn. Like, her family did that to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so then... I don't feel like you're in the right state of mind then to be like, well, is this a medical issue or am I being taken over by demons? Well, this is what my family says, so, and this is what they've told me all my life.
But who's going to tell her different?
A doctor?
I feel like the doctors that were, like, in charge of her did not put up enough of a fight. Like, I really felt like they were just like, oh, you want to do it religiously? Fine, whatever. I mean, take Gambitrol,
I
think,
guess
but...
it's her and her family's decision. They can't force anything on them.
I know.
I mean, I believe it was psychological, I'm sure. Yeah. But I mean, growing up in religion like that, her family being so religious, like, that's what they thought was right.
Yeah.
And I mean, what if we're wrong and they're right? You don't know.
What's that Pascal's wager shit? Ugh. You have to believe in God, because if you don't and you're wrong, what is it? If you don't and you're wrong, you go to hell. If you don't and you're right, nothing happens. If you do and you're wrong, nothing happens. If you do and you're right, you go to heaven. That's the only way to get to heaven, is to believe it and be right.
Which how in the world do you force yourself to believe something? Like, either you believe it or you don't. You can't, to me, you cannot choose to believe something or choose not to believe it. Either you do or you don't. You could pretend to believe it, but that's not going to help you any.
And that's the thing, if God is omnipresent,
He's gonna know.
He's gonna
that
know that
you
you're
don't
faking it. Like,
Yeah.
like the people in prison who murder 15 people and go, I believe in God now because I better. Because I
Right,
got nothing
yeah.
else.
I mean, like, I hope that that's not real. I don't want to spend eternity in hell.
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. The people who go to heaven are fucking assholes. So.
I remember being little and I never believed in Santa. Just never. I never remember believing in Santa. I remember hearing the stories and watching the shows and just in my mind going like, that doesn't seem right. You know what I mean?
That's like a way that kind of gets people started questioning religion, because like you're told all your life Santa's real, and then you find out he's not real, and then it's like, oh, well, what about like God then? Because the Easter Bunny's not real. You know, you've been lied to about all these things all your life, and then you find out this other thing might be imaginary too.
So what did it for me was I was in Bible school, and at one point they asked all the kids to one by one ask Jesus into their heart, and if they did that, that's all they had to do, and they would go to heaven. So I was like, what if I kill somebody? And they're like, well, you wouldn't do that. And I'm like, well, what if I did though? Then what? And I'm like, also I was like, what does it mean for him to be inside of my heart? Does he live inside my heart?
So you were that kid.
Yeah. And they were like so frustrated with me. Like they were like, stop it. And I was like, well, if you're
Just
not going
say
to
the words.
Yeah,
and
say
be
the
done.
words. So I did. So I guess, even though I'm sitting here right now being like, religion is bullshit, I'm going to heaven. It doesn't matter. So.
And then, especially if you're Catholic, if you go and you ask for forgiveness and everything, and confess your sins, then you're good, right? Like, so you can go murder 1,000 people and then confess and ask for forgiveness, and you'll go to heaven.
So does the person who listens to the confession have to tell the police?
I don't think so.
I think it's like
It's supposed to be confidential.
Whoa.
Wait, okay, so now if somebody tells like a psychiatrist that they are thinking about harming
Themselves or someone else.
they can report it, right?
Yeah.
They can't say exactly what they said, though,
Right.
or something?
Yeah, but there's a thing there where they're allowed to do something if they think that they are a danger to themselves or to others.
Okay. But religion, priests and ministers, they're not required. They're not like a, what's it called, mandated reporter?
I think not. Yeah, I think she's right. I don't
They're
think they have
not.
to. Yeah.
That's what I think, but I would have to look into that to be certain.
So in court, Ethan Thomas calls a bunch of medical professionals, and they're all like really sure it's schizophrenia, and then another person says it's epilepsy, and then one of them says it's schizoepilepsy or eposchizo something, where she's got both.
Epilepsy that's so bad that it causes psychosis, basically, is what they...
Psychoepilepsy?
I can't remember what he called it, but Aaron's like, you fucking make that up?
Right.
That's a quote from the movie. Did you fucking make that up?
Her actual diagnosis in real life was epileptic psychosis, or temporal lobe epilepsy.
They did mention that, yeah.
So.
And the one doctor was like, I would strap her down, I would feed her, I would shock her. And she's like, oh, would you? And he's like, yeah, to save her life. And she's like, oh, shit.
Right.
She's not a good lawyer. I don't think she's good at all. Did either of you think she was good at what she was doing?
I feel like because it was reasonable doubt. It was, if anything dealing with anything spiritual like that is going to have reasonable doubt.
Right,
Sure. Yeah.
So if she would have just done her opening statement at the beginning and been like, can you prove? And basically he did get off. I mean,
Yeah.
found guilty.
Right, yeah, but he didn't have
Time
to do
served.
any time.
They both won.
Yeah.
What do you think she should have done?
I agree with her. Don't save your opening statement. But the other thing is, she went in there hoping he would be like, I'll take the plea, or I want to stop, or... Because she told her boss, I will not put him on the stand. Then she told him, I'm going to put you on the stand. So it's like she didn't really know what she was doing. She had no plan. I think that's why she at one point says, that was part of my plan. You don't have one. I feel like you don't
Right.
have one. So...
And she was very doubting at the beginning too, and then she got to believe him more, so that might have changed her strategy too.
Because things started personally happening to her. So, yeah.
But
That's how movies work. It's dumb, but it is how it works.
I feel like she just needed to get to a point where she believed that he really didn't mean to harm her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And kind of got that across to the jury too.
At the end when she says, I've had to defend bad people and he's not a bad person. Yeah, I'd buy that.
I mean, I feel he didn't want to hurt her, but at the same time
he was
negligent.
Her. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I get I think in real life, like, the parents put up some prison or something.
They had some probation thrown in there. I think it was reduced to probation or something like that.
Whatever they got was more than what the movie they got in the movie.
Which, I'm cool with the end, both ways. Because it also still leaves it open. Yeah, he could have probably let her get medical treatment. Or maybe, if they would have strapped her down, the exorcism would have worked. I don't know. Who knows?
Are there any cases of exorcism, like, supposedly working?
In real life.
There was the case that The Exorcist was based on about the little boy, but I don't know if it worked. I don't know. I just feel like it never works. Ever.
Yeah.
In that, there was an Exorcist show that I was watching for a while. That's the only time I've ever seen it even in fake media work. But even then, it was like it worked once out of the 8 times that they did it in the show. So
it seems pointless to keep trying.
Right. Like every time that they walk in and they open that book and they're reading that specific passage, the demon is always like, "Oh yeah, here we go again. This shit. Well, no, fuck you." So anyway, her plan is to get somebody who believes in this stuff to give a credible account, and so they get a anthropologist who studies exorcisms in different cultures. She says that this will shock the brain out of a normal thing that the brain goes through, and that's how they get out of it. But the Gambutrol locked her in. And then Ethan Thomas is like, this is bullshit. He objects on the grounds of silliness or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, it is silly. I mean, how could that shock your brain just by throwing some holy water and saying some, like, Latin stuff?
So that, she speaks 4 different languages?
Yeah, there were multiple.
That's the thing, she could have learned them all.
Right.
She didn't take the class for the one, but she still knew it because it was near where her class was. So, even if she knows all 4, if she's psychotic and epileptic, how is she forming full, coherent sentences by mixing languages together? Like, even if her brain was like, I'm just going to shoot out words from these languages that my brain knows, they wouldn't be coherent. They would just be...
though?
Would they?
Well, whenever my grandmother was deep into, like, Alzheimer's and... Dementia, like, on the verge of death, she had been a French teacher like 60 years before and just started speaking French.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just depends on what's in the depths of your brain.
But to
she
do
had probably
it with,
spoken French so much that she was pretty fluent, though, right?
there's that, and French is one language.
Yeah, not 4 different
Well,
languages.
okay,
Yeah.
so during the exorcism, was there anybody there that understood what she was saying? They could have been not coherent sentences.
The priest said he knew, but that's true. Maybe he's like, yeah, sure. She was saying there's demons in me, and really she's saying, like, maps, turkey sandwich. Yeah, who knows? I mean, you gotta kind of... That's why, like you said, when he's like, I'm the only one that can tell the story. That's probably because, like, you're gonna tell it the way that you perceive it. Like,
Right, which is from a religious perspective.
Which is why that doctor would have been so important to have.
Mm-hmm.
But he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
So he claims he saw demons and then gets hit by a car and dies.
Why did he have the tape recorder instead of the priest?
He gave it to him right as he got arrested. That's what he said. And my guess is it was playing in the middle of the night like it was for her.
Yeah.
So that's why he's
That
like,
would
it's
be
your
creepy in
burden
the middle of the
now.
night to hear that plan.
So he doesn't get to get up there, and really the only person that they call up is the anthropologist. And then they just put him up there twice.
Yeah.
And friggin' Carl, the boss, is like, you put him up again, you're fucking fired. And she's like, audio podcast, but that's what, when I was watching it, she calls him again and he's in the courtroom and I just wanted her to turn around and flip him the bird and fucking him walk out. But yeah, she's committed to this, apparently. Like, she wants him to tell this crazy story that is not helping her case at all. But I figure she probably thinks I've already lost. I might as well just let him do what he wants.
Right.
So.
And I mean, it probably did kind of help. Like, the jury might have sentenced him instead of, like, saying, like, time served already.
Right. Because they're like, this is his fault, but I think he feels pretty bad about it. And I also think, like, he did care.
Right.
So.
Which is all that she really wanted off in the end, I think. Was that it wasn't intentional.
So they kind of almost took it as a win for her, even though she technically lost.
It's weird, though, because, like, Ethan Thomas gets a guilty verdict, and he's like, man, he's not punished. Man. So, the last thing is that he pulls out well, we didn't even talk about the exorcism yet. We haven't even talked about that. That's bad. It's just shitty. It's one of the worst exorcisms I've ever seen in a movie. It just lasts 10 seconds and goes completely wrong immediately.
Sounds like my college set.
Yeah. Last 10 seconds it goes completely wrong. Nice. So, did anybody jump out a window afterwards?
I wanted to.
So, they start the rites and the demon's just like, there's 6 of me. And that's the thing. Father Thomas hears this like and just keeps ignoring it. So does he even know what the fuck she's saying?
Right.
But she gets loose. They go out into the barn. There's animals everywhere. And he's still trying to do this thing. It's not working. Doors are flying open. And then she says, I'm 6 demons. And she says she's also the devil?
Yeah, she was with Lucifer and Judas and...
Belial.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that sounds made up.
Right.
But anytime that, like, from what I've seen from exorcism stuff, anytime that somebody claims they're the devil, that puts a little bit of doubt. Because why is the devil coming up with 5 other fucking demons?
Right,
and,
yeah.
Come on.
Because he's like, you guys couldn't handle this on your own. I had to come here.
Yeah. Who's watching hell right now? They're probably all down there having a good time because you're not there.
Or a bad time.
It depends, yeah. And there's people who down there are getting burned and whipped and they're like, yeah!
That's why I came.
That's right. So...
I kind of tapped out of the movie at this point.
She writes a letter to him saying that she saw the mother who? Mary? Virgin Mary.
Yeah, I think
she saw
so,
the
right?
Virgin Mary in a field.
Yeah.
Who was like, we can just kill you now and you can come to heaven, or you can keep getting tortured, but then people will be like 8 people might be like, there's a saint right there.
Right.
And she's like, that sounds like a good idea.
Go through it.
So she,
right.
chooses to be one, and they think she's gonna be a martyr or a saint, but who's gonna all of a sudden become religious because of this? According to the epilogue of this movie, a bunch of people.
Right.
But really, though? So they think that she has stigmata, but really she just grabbed a barbed wire fence. So.
Oh, right, the thing on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a movie with
It's called Stigmata.
Stigmata?
Mm-hmm.
Who's in it?
Don't remember.
Is it?
It's people who shouldn't be in it. They're so much better than
The one woman
that.
I love. I can't remember her name.
Claire Danes?
Patricia Arquette.
Okay.
She's in some kind of a devil movie, but I can't remember which one.
She's in Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Ugh! I'm trying to see if, they exhumed her body.
Yeah. The real lady, they exhumed her. So, this movie ends with her being like, reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt. And they're like, nah, he's guilty, shut up. So, that's their verdict, exactly. Again, verbatim. I took excellent notes on this movie.
No.
Those are the character names, John. Those aren't notes.
Hey, yeah, I watched you write down those names. Like,
I did that this afternoon, yeah. So,
Better than me, I didn't take any notes again. Next time.
That's alright. I don't really remember my name.
they're like, yeah, he's guilty. And they're
Guilty.
like, we said we wanted
Time served.
the sentence read to us now. And Ethan Thomas is like, no! No! And she's like, shut the fuck up.
First of all, the jury doesn't determine the sentence. Judge does.
They wanted to suggest it to her.
All right.
That's what they said. We wanted, and she's like, it's just a suggestion. I want to hear it. And they say, time served. And she's like, nah, that sounds good. Good enough. You can go. And that's it. So everyone is mad. M is mad. Ethan Thomas is mad. Everyone's mad.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
He's guilty, but I mean,
I hope he doesn't go on to do any more exorcisms.
I think he said he can't. Right? He said he can't go back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good then.
And Carl tries to, give Aaron a new job, a better
Promotion.
job, and she's like, "Man, fuck you, I quit."
So do you think that she quit Florian altogether, or
No, because she still has that box, so she's like building something for herself. That's you have to keep those as like your resume.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You were nodding.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm like, okay, huh?
You are
just being
saying
attentive.
words. You are saying words. Good job.
Just because she's nodding and smiling doesn't mean she agrees or understands.
Right, I took it as she kept that box from the case so that she could be like, "This is a case that I covered. Here's all the case files from it." And she continues to be a lawyer.
No, that belongs to the law firm.
Don't tell me my business.
Maybe. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Can we rate this? I want to
Yeah.
get on to the next one.
All right. This is going to be a compliment sandwich. I know it is. I'm positive. So, Lindsay, you go first.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have a feeling that you're going to rate it much higher than I am. But, I mean, okay, I'm going to say 5.5. Like, I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it either. I found it was a little bit scary at points, especially for like a PG-13 movie where they can't show a bunch of crazy stuff, you know. It did have some like definite creepy moments that were kind of scary. And I mean, it was kind of a different thing having like courtroom drama / horror. Mm-hmm. But yet, it's not one I'm going to go back to, I don't think.
Oh. Okay. M?
Good acting.
And that's it.
The acting was good, I agree.
Good acting. I mean, a good story. I just didn't like the major, like the messages from it. A lot of the scary stuff I thought was actually funny, which is very odd for me. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'm giving it a 9 because I can't give it a 10 because there are things where I'm just like, oh, come on. I'm rolling my eyes at it and stuff like that. I honestly, this would have been a better movie that was just like an exorcist movie or an exorcism movie that took place in the courtroom that didn't even have the exorcism in it. Because that was kind of a weak point. Her screaming and animals, snakes, and boring. It's boring. The actual characters, the acting, the story had me going back and forth. Every time I watch it, I'm just going back and forth, and I find new things that I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's more scientific. And then I'll be like, whoa, that like her jumping out the window. I'm like, how's she doing that if she's all like not lucid, not, I obviously don't believe in demons. I don't believe in anything religious. I think it's all nonsense. But for the sake of the movie's story, like you kind of have to be like, demons may exist in this universe that this story takes place in. And I think they do a good job of being like, maybe not. Who knows? So for that, I like it. I feel like it's rewatchable. I also feel like it mimics like a Lifetime movie in sometimes. So that kind of like, but... Yeah, I thought everybody in the movie also was like, there was duality. Like there was Aaron Bruner let a murderer get away and he murdered again. And Ethan Thomas he's trying to do the right thing, but he does it in a dick way. And just everybody had like good and bad to them. So yeah, it's not like the normal schlock that we watch on for this show. So yeah, like what is it? Replicator and Slimeball Bolorama and... All right. Thank you, Mom. If you want to get a hold of us, facebook.com/horrorcasting. Horrorcastings@gmail.com. We are on... Oh, thank you. Don't wave it around this time, please. I want to take it.
No.
I'm taking it.
My notebook.
We're on Twitter @horrorcasting. We're on Spotify. Oh, no, we're bad. What the fuck are we doing on there? They rip off artists. What we learned, they pay like 0.01 cent per song. Oh. Yeah, remove us from your platform, you dickheads. I don't even ask to be on there. Anyway, we're there on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Yeah, I'm looking at you.
What?
Your turn.
Oh shit. Thrill me.
Oh.
I don't know what to